Hello to all of you from around the world. I want to thank you for joining us for this edition of Soulivity Today. Of course, we're broadcasting live from our studio right here in the nation's capital, Washington, D.C., and on KMET 1490 AM radio in Southern California. My name is Brian Wesley Johnson, and whether you're at home, driving, or at work, we are always glad you're here with us. We have another amazing show for you today. Back with us is senior Soulivity contributor Dr. Chanel DeGuzman, who's also the author of the book, Come Back to Yourself, Love Life, Live Free. Hey, Chanel, what is going on, girl?
Good morning, Brian. It is an awesome, awesome day. It is overcast here. I'm not sure if it's
Yeah,
overcast there in the
yeah,
nation's capital, but
yeah.
yeah, all is well. All is well. Our son won a doubles final last night. So we were at the Varsity Tennis Center in Ann Arbor till about midnight last night. His
Oh,
match was at 10 o'clock at
fantastic.
night. So he's going to the finals in Georgia during spring break. So that's awesome. And then, Brian, he plays for the singles quarterfinal tonight. Now, Brian, this is
Oh,
after he sprained his ankle on Saturday. And we were in urgent
what?
care on Sunday. He was walked out of there on crutches, but he was like,
Are you
he had to
serious?
go for it. Yeah, he had to go for it. And he did fine. He wrapped it, him and his dad and with the brace and all of that. So he not only played, but he smashed it. So him and his partner. So we had a great, great night. So
Wow.
I'm really easing into this morning today.
Wow. Wow. Well,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be looking forward to sitting with you and Gary at the US Open one day soon.
Yes.
And
Yes.
and then
God
Wimbledon, we'll
willing.
have to travel to Wimbledon.
Yes. Yes. Now that's the trip, Brian. That's the trip.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
How
Well,
are
I'm
you
glad
doing?
I'm good. I am really, really, really good. Um, you know how I love doing this work. And
Mhm.
the last couple of shows, this week they were new. We had our new segment with relationship advice with Melva. We started a new series with somatic trauma healer Ife Mora yesterday. We got two or three
Nice.
more of those episodes to go throughout the month of February and March. And so when I'm doing this work, I just feel good. I just
Yeah.
feel good all
Well,
the time. And so, yes,
absolutely.
thanks for asking. Thanks for asking that.
Yeah, and it shows. It shows, Brian.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Well, I do it for all of you out there. And so, especially since today we're going to be answering a important question, right? Which is, does a balanced life really exist? Right. And I know for you and me, Chanel, I mean, I would say that this question is something that any adult person, especially those with young children, have probably asked themselves, at one point or another, right? Um, I know I have. Now,
Oh, yeah.
the
Yeah.
yeah, now the typical response to this is typically, most people want read a book, right? Maybe it's on time management, or maybe they watch a video about how to map out like goals and objectives. We've all kind of been there. Or, even possibly seeking out, professional coaching, like with someone wonderful like Dr. Chanel. These
Yeah.
are all great ideas. I just want to put that forth first and foremost.
Mhm. Right.
However, today I want us to take a different tact in seeking an answer to this question. Um, you know, Chanel, over the last few weeks, I've watched this hit series on Netflix called To Live to 100 Secrets of the Blue
Okay.
Zones. And it's
Yeah.
really, really good. I highly recommend people go out and watch it. It's it's where we travel around with author, virtually travel with this author, and he's an world-renowned biker, right? I mean, like on a bike where he's, gone, thousands of miles riding a bike. His name is Dan Buettner. And it's to discover 5 unique communities where people live extraordinarily long and vibrant lives. I mean, the median age in terms of life expectancy is like in the 90s. And so he's like trying to
Wow.
figure out, what this is all about. And as I
Mm-hmm.
was preparing for this show, I was thinking, what better way to answer the question of, does a balanced life really exist, by looking in a little deeper into what this show is telling us, right? So for
Okay.
instance, one community is in Okinawa, Japan, and it's where the island's oldest residents still share a serene way of life, which is primarily motivated by a sense of purpose, or what they call in their language, Ikigai. Now,
Mm-hmm.
according to experts on the subject, this is just one of many Japanese aesthetic and philosophical concepts that can lead to personal growth, along with self-improvement and a balanced lifestyle. So, Shana, we're going to take a look at the top 5 today, and we're going to discuss them and see if they can provide some insight into how we can create balance in our own lives, which can also lead us to manifesting a better life today. So let's look at these first
Excellent.
2 concepts right now.
There are many
Okay.
Japanese aesthetic and philosophical concepts that can lead to personal growth and self-improvement. Hi, I'm Josh, and welcome back to Shizen Style. Here are my top 5 concepts that have had the greatest influence and impact on my life, as well as helping me establish a Shizen lifestyle. These aren't really in any particular order, but the last one may have the most impactful benefit on your life. The first concept is Omoiyari. The phrase Omoiyari is commonly translated to empathy, but it actually goes deeper than that, extending into altruism. In Japanese culture, the concept of empathy and consideration is called Omoiyari. Omoi means thought. Yari is derived from yaru, which means to give or send. So it literally means to give your thoughts to others. Omoiyari can be defined as the sympathy and empathy for others that leads to thoughtful action. The main points are anticipating someone's needs and providing for them in advance. In this sense, it's similar to omotenashi, often found in service industries where you anticipate the needs of the customers. To practice omoiyari, you need to put yourself in someone else's shoes and anticipate their needs without them having to ask for it. As I mentioned, omoiyari is empathy and altruism, or selflessness. Altruism is the act or desire to provide for someone in need without the expectation of a reward. Some examples of this are speaking quietly in public, like on a train, and cleaning up after yourself in public areas, as we've seen recently after major sporting events like the Olympics or World Cup games. The second Japanese concept for personal growth is uketamo. I first learned of this concept after interviewing Tim Bunting, a Yamabushi, or mountain aesthetic. He's from the little-known Dewa Sanzan mountain range in northern Japan. Since the 8th century, it has been the sacred pilgrimage site for the Yamabushi monks, who undergo rituals connecting their mind, body, and spirit with nature and seeking an awakening. Uketamo sums up the core principle of their training. The literal translation is, "I humbly accept with an open heart." Uketamo means complete acceptance of your situation. The sooner you can accept all the good and bad things life throws at you, the lighter you'll feel. So, you lose your job? Uketamo. The weather suddenly changes to lightning, and now you have to cancel your kayaking trip. uketamo. You're out hiking and make it all the way to the top of the mountain, only to have to walk back down in a sudden downpour and thunderstorm. Uketamo. The Yamabushi learned this concept of acceptance in nature, where you learn quickly that you have no control over many things, so you have to accept them in order to continue. You can't change the things that are out of your control. You have to embrace the situation and deal with it. You don't have to like the situation, but you have to accept it so you can creatively problem solve with a blank slate and a clear, focused mind.
Okay. Wow. I like this.
Wow.
Right? I like this a lot. Omoiyari, right? Omoiyari, I think that's how you pronounce it. This is this concept of sympathy, but more compassion, and it's compassion to others as well as ourselves, right? And that without any expectation of like a return on your investment, right? Like, okay, I'm going to give to you, but I'm expecting something to come back. And then this other concept of yukitamo, which is acceptance. I would also say that I would consider this surrender, right? That we're surrendering things over to nature. What do you think about these concepts?
I love them, Brian. These are awesome.
Yeah.
That first one, Omari, if I'm saying
Yeah.
that right.
Omoiyari.
So
Mhm.
the whole sense of starting with yourself, right? So remembering
Yeah.
that everything starts with us, and then so that caring for ourselves, having good, peaceful, loving thoughts towards ourselves allows us to
Mhm.
have those same loving, compassionate, empathetic thoughts for others. And as
Yeah.
we think and give to others, it just is returned to us. It's just, we just have no expectation of how it's going to be returned, when it's going to be returned, or if it's going to be returned. But that's that flowing, allowing that love to just flow of thoughts and goodness to others. And what I really like what he said, Brian, was anticipating the needs of others. So it's
Yeah.
not that you're just thinking about this, but you're putting it into purposeful action. So
Right.
we're taking
Right.
action, we're anticipating others' needs. I think about, Gary's just my person. And so I think about, I mean, he does everything for me, Brian, and I do mean
Oh,
everything. And
oh.
so I have to like insert myself to be able to do things for him. And so I try to purposely do them. Like I'll fill up my gas tank before I come home so he doesn't have to go back out and fill up my gas tank. I mean, I know that's still serving me, but
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
just
But
thinking about the other person and their needs is a
right.
really tangible thing that you can do to
Right.
live out this principle, which
Right.
I absolutely love.
I love it. I love it. And it's giving us a clue here, right? Into maybe living a balanced life is more than just, though that it's important, time management, right? That it's more important than just time management and coming up with some goals and objectives and that kind of thing. That it's a little bit more than that. And so
Yep.
thank you for those comments, because I think they're really, really important. Listen, we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we'll learn about this next concept, which talks more about, having balance and creating self-improvement through the transience of things, which is kind of interesting. So we're going to learn more about that, and we'll be back in a couple of minutes. Hi there, this is Brian with Soulivity.com. I want to share some exciting news about our new Aspire Academy by Soulivity. Now, you probably want to know what the Aspire Academy by Soulivity is. Well, it exclusively connects you with people around the globe and who share the intense desire to improve themselves and create a better life for themselves today. There's classes, there's workshops, there's live events, and even more exclusively just for you. You see, I wanted you to have a safe space where you could grow, you can learn, and it would empower you in all aspects of your life, including your mind, your body, and your soul. So how do you get started? Well, it is so easy. First of all, the best part, joining Aspire Academy is absolutely free. Just click on the Join Now button, sign up, and begin your journey. As a special part of this invitation to you, there are some free courses that are available for you to try from our amazing roster of coaches and collaborators. It's our way of saying thank you for all of your support and being with us along our journey of expansion. I hope you enjoy the Aspire Academy by Soulivity today. Start the process. Learn more about your passion, your purpose, and how to live a higher quality life. Well, good morning, Washington, D.C. It's a sunny day here. I guess I thought it was going to be cloudy, but I guess not. And I can't help but say, yay. And we're so glad that you're back with us here on Soulivity today. We're answering the question, does a balanced life really exist? And, I'm so happy to have Dr. Chanel DeGuzman back with me as we talk about this important topic. Chanel, we've been looking at some Japanese aesthetic and philosophical concepts that can give us clues around answering this question. Because of what I've read, these can really lead to a life of personal growth, self-improvement, and a balanced lifestyle. And so we just went through the first two, which is Omoiyari and Yukitamo, compassion and acceptance. And now we're going to look at this next concept. I think it's Mono no Aware. Aware, I think it's the name. Mono no Arare, I think is the name of it. And so why don't we take a look?
The next concept, Mono no Aware, describes having empathy for things and their inevitable passing. It reminds us that nothing in life is permanent. We need to willingly let go of our attachments to transient things. It is the awareness that everything in existence is temporary. The fleetingness of youth and growing old, the fading of romance, and the changing of seasons shouldn't sadden us. Instead, cherish and appreciate their impermanence. This is where their beauty comes from. The cherry blossoms are a perfect example of this. In Japan, their short-lived flowering beauty has come to be a symbol of Mono no Aware. While Mono no Aware sort of has a sense of melancholy associated with it, it isn't sadness, but rather a deeply felt emotion that comes over you when you realize how important it is to embrace the moment. It's the moment that needs to be appreciated.
Wow, it's the moment that needs to be appreciated. Woo! Now, Chanel, here in DC, this is like something that we experience every single year because of the cherry blossoms that are here, that were a gift from Japan, that bloom everywhere. They're on the National Mall, but they're actually all over DC. And so such an important part of balance, right? Where we get unbalanced when we're trying to hold on to things that have literally already passed, right? And that we're trying to hold on to this thing that's already passed. It's no longer in our lives, and we're just trying to hold on to it, right? What were your thoughts?
Oh, this is really good, Brian. So
Yeah,
it's
right,
almost
right.
also going back to that second one,
Yeah,
ukamo, which
yeah,
is that surrendering, that you accept whatever happens, right? And
right,
so in
right,
this regard, this third one, it's nothing in life is permanent and that
right,
everything is temporary. And embracing that concept so that you're not holding on, you're not suffocating, you're not suppressing anything, but you are actually embracing he said the impertinence of it, or what did he say? That
the tr-
it's basically
the
embracing the temporary nature of
right,
anything. That
right,
embracing the
right,
nature in and of itself is where the true gift lies. And allowing whatever is going to happen, because everything changes. He said the romance is going to change, our aging
right,
process changes. And so just appreciating this flow, right? And you just
right,
flow with it and accept every present moment of this journey.
right. And and like he said, when you combine Yukitamo with Mono no Oware, it's like you don't have to like the things you're going to change,
That's what he
right? Doesn't
said.
mean that you don't have to like it, but it does
Right.
mean that you do have to accept that in our natural world, things come and go, right?
That's right.
That this reminds me of what Melva was telling us about on Tuesday in terms of the stages of our relationships, right? Where we meet someone, we're in this romantic stage, and it doesn't last forever, right? That it moves into other stages where you really find out why this person is in your life, and the truth of the matter is for both of you to improve and to become closer and more intimate, and then you move out of that into this beautiful purposeful love,
Yes.
and so, but it means that you have to let go of that first stage of when you were
Yes.
first together, because that's going to end and transform
Right.
and move into something else. So I'm really
Yes. It's
liking this.
almost
I'm
like
really
an
liking this.
evolution, like an evolution of growth, right? Um,
Absolutely.
it's
Absolutely.
journey.
And we evolve,
Mhm.
right? My guess is that in this concept as well of Mono no Arare, we are evolving. And so we can't just keep holding on to a life that doesn't exist anymore. I mean, I know how many men go through midlife crisis, right? Where it's like, oh, I'm going to buy this car and I'm going to be the man, and try to live like they were back in their 20s. And it's like, no, you are
Right.
now older. And
And
so,
and you are out of balance, right, Brian? You're
right.
out of balance.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Listen, we're going to continue this conversation. It's so good with this next concept, which has a lot to do with, something that we may not think about, and that is the martial arts. And so we're going to learn what that is in a second. Want to remind everybody that February is Black History Month, and every month we're going to be featuring a Black History moment.
Historical black figures you've never heard of. We have been taught that Jackie Robinson was the first black person to play in the majors, but we were lied to. In June 1879, a mixed-race man named William Edward White played one game as a substitute for the Providence Grays. White was light-skinned and lived as a white man. Since he identified as white, many don't consider him to be the first black baseball player. In May 1884, 29-year-old Moses Fleetwood Walker joined the Toledo Blue Stockings. Many consider him the first black Major League Baseball player, as he faced racism and controversy that White did not. Walker played 42 games with the team. He was released in September 1884. The next time a black man played Major League Baseball was on April 15, 1947, when Jackie Robinson took the field for the Dodgers.
Do you see me kneeling on this dual roller called Parasetter? It's actually comfortable because of this channel and the softness of the special foam. It feels like my kneecaps are being massaged. When I lie down, my spine is housed in this channel, while the convex rollers massage my muscles. They let go and lengthen. There's a traction effect from my head on the headrest and my mid-back from the rib wrap, which hugs me. When I start the breathing sequence, I feel calm because my cortisol levels are dropping. Lower cortisol means bye-bye constant hunger. Parasetter is 40 inches long and much more comfortable than old-style rollers, but it weighs only 10 ounces. Parasetter, just like Pilates was, is no longer an insider secret. Do yourself a favor. Reset your parasympathetic nervous system. Defeat stress. Lying, sitting, kneeling, or standing. This unique patented roller helps everyone.
Six years ago, when I started Soulivity, my vision was to support everyone in improving their life through the discovery of their passion and purpose, so they could become the best version of themselves, to battle fear and ignorance, and create a better world today. Get inspired to live your passion and purpose. Visit Soulivity.com now.
Hey, we are back with more on Soulivity today. As we answer this particular question today, does a balanced life really exist? And back with us is, of course, our resident expert in all things professional, growth-wise and entrepreneurship, Dr. Chanel. Chanel, you're going to love this next one. Did you ever watch, like, Kung Fu movies when you were a kid?
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
you know, okay.
Absolutely.
Well, this next concept relates to that. And it's actually three different words all kind of put together. It's Shuhari, Shuhari, I believe. And it has to do with, the stages of learning to mastery, which I guess is an important concept when we're talking about balance. So let's find out more about what this all means.
Another Japanese concept for self-improvement is Shuhari, mastery. Shuhari is a philosophical concept relating to the mastery of skills and techniques. It is often used in regards to the martial arts, but is related to many different cultural traditions like the tea ceremony, flower arrangement, pottery, etc. In reality, it can be applied to anything involving learning, including life, spiritual development, or business. For me personally, I connected with this philosophy through shakuhachi bamboo flute playing and photography. In shakuhachi, I have a teacher I learned from one-on-one, and I have gone through the various stages of mastery. Let's look at these three stages in detail. You should know, though, that they are actually more of an organic process, not necessarily an exact stage that you're at. Shuhari, learn the basics, imitate, then innovate. Shu. Here we are learning the basics, protecting, obeying. This is traditional wisdom, learning the fundamentals and basic techniques. Everything is new. Thus, you are mainly just absorbing. The second part of the path is Ha. So detach, digress, breaking with tradition. Detachment from the illusions of self, to break with tradition, to find exceptions to traditional wisdom, to find new approaches. D. Leave, separate, transcend. This is transcending tradition. You're no longer focusing on techniques. All of your moves are natural. This is where traditional wisdom and intuition merge, becoming one with your spirit without clinging to forms. With Shuhari mastery, you're not striving for perfection. You're putting forth your best effort and then allowing the cards to fall where they may. This often takes many years, but it's a natural process. You cannot really be creative and connect the dots between seemingly unrelated ideas until you have fully gone through the process of imitating and learning the rules first, often with the guidance of a teacher.
Wow. Wow.
So, I'm an educator, so I'm just eating all of this.
So this answers a question, right? Because a lot of times when we think about balanced life, a lot of times we move right into trying to learn about the steps, right? These kind of steps that we need to take in a more confined, approach, right? And what I'm feeling by learning about all these different concepts is that that's a part of the larger puzzle, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that especially when it comes to Shuhari, this is about, listen, there's some basics that you need to learn about spiritually, if you have a business or you're working, right? That create a situation of learning around this that create balance, right? And so, but you've got to go through the steps, right? And that
Right.
you've got to learn some basics. You have to imitate, and then you have to innovate. And I'm loving that he's bringing this all around, right? That you just don't move from A to Z. You have to go A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and you have to learn all these things along the way because they're
Absolutely.
all important, right? What are your thoughts?
Well, the one thing that immediately comes to my mind, Brian, is that to master anything, you have to put 1,000 hours into it. I don't know if you've heard that.
Yes,
But
yes,
yes,
yes.
to really know those basics and those fundamentals inside and out. I mean, it's true, especially in sports, we never get away from the fundamentals, or, like me as a dancer, I never get away from the fundamentals. But
Mhm.
then moving through those stages, he said, detach from the illusion of yourself. I thought that was pretty powerful. As you're starting to, I guess, break away from um, the self and move into
Yeah,
that transcendental, or he said to transcend, and
yeah,
that's where you move away from the form. So
right,
part of me, my learning process is that I stick to form and I don't allow the true creativity, the true natural unfolding of something,
right.
because I consider myself sort of black and white. Like I'm
Hmm.
by the book, but there's
Right,
a certain point, right after you've mastered those basics, that you can allow and you can trust and you can flow. And
right,
so that's where that creativity and the being innovative comes into being. And I think in terms of balance, that's where we can not strive so much, where we can actually
right.
allow, because we have mastered the basics, we have, detached,
Yeah,
and that we are in this new state where we're open and allowing the natural gifts and the natural flowing to evolve and take us
right,
maybe to places we never could have imagined.
right, right. And how many times are we taught that, okay, we say in a society that we want innovation, but in reality, when you're in like a professional career, right, they just want you to imitate, right? They just want you to have a level of mastery where you're doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over again because it's quote
Yeah.
unquote working, right? And that you never
Efficient.
move, right? It's efficient, it's effective. And so we just want to create things, I mean, repeatable processes, right? How many times have we
Hmm.
heard that, right? And in
Hmm.
truth, that's fine to a certain degree, but we all have something more to give, right? For ourselves in our lives. And so that's when that whole balance piece comes in. And so I'm glad you said that part, because it's like, you know, we are evolving, and this is part of that evolution, right? We talked about like letting go of things that are transient, right? Accepting and surrendering and that kind of thing. And so all these concepts meld together where it's like, listen, there's a natural progression of life, and embracing it is part of, how to get balance, right? How to bring everything into focus, everything into alignment with some balance that's there. This is so good. This is so good. Listen, we're going to come back, and then we're going to talk about the last concept, which many people who study this have said this is the most important concept that brings everything together. So we'll be back in about 2 minutes. Find all of the Satana products at our Go shop at go.soulivity.com.
Have you ever asked the question, if I was to be anything, what would I be? Regardless of money, regardless of status, beyond popularity and fame. Living your passion, feeling your life has purpose. Soulivity is a space to nurture that which lives in all of us. A place where work can become play, and doing what we love creates the dreams of a lifetime.
Well, hello, New York City. Looking good, looking good, looking good. Looks a little overcast there, but loving that skyline. And we want to say hello to you and welcome back to more here on Soulivity today, as Dr. Chanel and I tackle this one question: does a balanced life really exist? And Dr. Chanel, we kind of went through these top 5. We've gone through the top 4 of the top 5 concepts around how the Japanese look at life. And I think we've gotten a lot of insight around how this relates to creating a balanced life. And now we're at the last one, which is what a lot of people say is the most important, and that is called Ikigai.
The final and possibly most impactful Japanese life concept is Ikigai. We can use Ikigai to figure out what drives us, brings us joy, and allows us to wake up in the morning with a sense of purpose. Ikigai is a Japanese style of motivational structure for drive. You may be familiar with the Ikigai diagram out there that's floating around, but this doesn't represent the real meaning behind Ikigai. Real Ikigai isn't a few overlapping circles of what you like to do and what you can get paid for. Borrowing from positive psychology terms, Ikigai is about engagement, finding flow, and positive emotions. It's also about relationships and authentic connections, meaning and purposeful existence, as well as a sense of accomplishment. The idea of Ikigai incorporates your life purpose and also refers to the things that make your life worthwhile. On a deeper level, Ikigai refers to the mental and spiritual circumstances under which individuals feel that their lives are valuable as they move forward towards their goals. Finding Ikigai is the process of cultivating your inner potential as you actively pursue what you enjoy doing in service of your family, tribe, and community via your life roles. I believe that by focusing on the little moments and relieving yourself of the burden of big goals and plans, you'll be able to progress just by doing what you love doing. This isn't only a concept I've built around the Japanese principle of Ikigai, but one that's backed by Harvard research as well. Harvard professor Teresa Amabile has developed what she calls the progress principle. Her research shows that real success comes from small wins that build motivation, inspiration, and innovation. In the West, the idea of having big goals sells. I have found that a more Eastern approach of being more process-oriented, embracing the moment, enjoying the journey type of Shizen lifestyle has allowed me to remain curious and explore this world with fresh eyes.
Very interesting, right? What were
Very
your thoughts when
interesting.
you heard about Ikigai?
Ikigai. Yes, I love
Ikigai.
this. Talking about this inner potential and
Yeah.
finding the small wins. So the progress
Yeah.
principle of not trying to get the whole elephant, but taking a piece, the piece that
Right.
brings you fulfillment in the moment and joy and peace. And, you know, we always go back to what are you feeling? If you're feeling good
Right.
and you're feeling loved and you're in the flow, that's where it's at, right? And you string all those moments together to
Right.
create your life. And you don't have to, fuss and stress and strive over these huge aspirations. Obviously,
Right.
it's great to have these goals, but he's talking about, and this philosophy is talking about, engagement and fully being present in whatever
Right.
it is that's bringing you love and life and joy
Mm,
in that
mm.
particular moment. Um, and
Yeah.
that's the motivation that continues to drive and push us forward.
Yeah. It's why here on Soulivity we talk about these concepts of passion and purpose, right? Like what motivates you? What's something that you would do regardless of money and all the other things, right? That you would literally do for free, barring everything else is taken care of, right? So if everything in your
Mhm,
life was
mhm.
taken care of, what would that thing be? What would you do? And how would you use that to serve humanity, right? And so that gives you the sense inside of yourself that you matter and that the people around you matter. And again, I can see why this is probably the one of the most important concept, if not the most important concept, around your life in Japanese culture, because it ties everything together, right?
Right.
Um,
And
um,
this it
yeah,
feels
go
like,
ahead.
Brian, this is where you're gonna find your peace, right? To give you that
Yeah,
balance, right?
yes,
If you're in
yes,
purpose and serving and you're flowing, I feel like there's gotta be some balance in there. This has got to encourage more balance than that constant
right.
striving.
Right. I'm also thinking that this is something that relates to, I mean, there's been this constant thread throughout all of this, which is staying in the moment, staying in the now, right? Not moving out and worrying about things to come or things that were, that you're staying in the moment of today, right? And so with Omoiyari, being compassionate to others, just because in this moment you see that there's a need, right, that needs to be
Mhm.
met. And so you give of yourself, you're of service to others in that way. And then yukitamo, which is acceptance and surrender. Well, if you're in the moment, right? You're not worried about what's to come and what's in the past. It's like you're just in this moment and you're accepting what is in this moment.
Mm.
Mono no orare, the transience of things, right? You're not trying to hold on to something that you can't hold on to, right? Shuhari, the mastery, right? You're going through it step by step by step by step, learning lesson by lesson by lesson. And then it all comes together with Ikigai, where this is this sense of purpose, which is why you're living this life the way that you're living. And so I guess the answer to our question today is yes, a balanced life can exist, right?
It absolutely can, Brian. It absolutely can. And I'm excited because, we've also talked about intentionality. We're going to
Yes.
decide purpose in your mind and in your heart that you are going to live a balanced life, and just think about all the tremendous benefits that come out of living a balanced life,
Right.
especially with service to humanity, knowing that you're fulfilling a need that's
Yeah.
out there, but you're getting, a great sense of peace and harmony within. I mean, it's all about that evolution, right? That evolution of going
Absolutely.
to that higher place within, which brings that peace, which brings that balance. So absolutely we can have it, Brian.
And I think too, it doesn't mean that the other tools that we can go out and get to help us don't matter, like reading a book or watching a video or seeking out a professional coach. But what it does do is put all that into context, right? That
Yes.
that those things are part of a larger um philosophical process that we can go through and that we can remind ourselves of as we're bringing that all to focus. And I think the more we do that, the more like life decisions that we have to make for our lives and all that come into clarity, right? And focus that we're okay. Because I think you said this before, we can have goals, right? We can have lofty goals, but we don't
Hmm.
obsess about the goal. We say, okay,
Yes.
yeah, I'm going to have this successful business. I know it's going to be successful, and we're going to reach the global community. And what I'm focusing on today is this, and then the next day, and then the next day, and
Mm.
then the next day,
Yeah,
and then the next day, right? So,
absolutely. Absolutely.
fantastic discussion today, girl. This has been good.
Yes.
This has been
Real good.
really, really, really good.
And it's the
Um,
first of the month, Brian. I mean, what a great
I
way to
know,
kick off the
right?
first of the month.
Oh man. Um, I know you have a few things that I think would help people with this whole process of creating this balanced life. One of which is this phenomenal book called Come Back to Yourself, Love Life, Live Free. Can you tell people a little bit about that while we got some time?
Absolutely. So, out of all these philosophies, I think I spent a lot of time with the women that I coach on that surrender piece, the
Hmm.
yukatamo, of giving up the control and accepting what is and embracing and dealing with what's in front of you. So, that whole surrender piece really is that first step to get us on that path of loving life and living free. So, if you're in need to
Mm.
talk, let's chat. I offer a free consultation, and you can see the number there on the screen. So, would love to have the opportunity to see where you're at, see where you're going, and see what's getting in the way.
Oh, wow. Wow. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Listen, we at Soulivity also have some ways that you can learn more about your passion and purpose in living a balanced life. Go to soulivity.com, where you can get more inspiration. We've got so many great articles, more things on like what we've been talking about today. So go to soulivity.com today. Also want to let people know that we've got our sister girl, Tammy Gaines, is coming back on February 5th for a new season of Tammy's Table. These are great shows to learn about, how to grow, how to be resilient, and probably also create some balance too, because I mean, she has some great guests, and it's all about helping us improve our lives. Also want to remind you that, hey, listen, we're on social media, y'all. Go check us out on our YouTube channel, where you can subscribe and watch all of our Soulivity Today content over and over and over again. We have all our shows are actually there, so subscribe at Soulivity Magazine. And if you have a podcast provider that you're using, go do a search for Soulivity Today, and listen to our shows there. You can listen wherever you are, at home, at work, or at play. So good to have you here, girl. This has been a great show. Loving your insights,
Yes.
Dr. Chanel, as always. I mean,
Perfect.
it's funny because I meant to ask that question of does a balanced life really exist seriously?
Mhm.
I kind of had a certain inference around that the answer was yes, but going through
Mhm.
this process with you today, and like looking at these concepts and how people in different parts of the world, in this case Okinawa, Japan, how they live, really makes the answer yes, right? And that I think
Mhm.
that by doing so, that's why they're living so long, right? Why this
Absolutely.
Netflix series is showing why they're living so long. So this is
Mhm.
fantastic. So thanks again. Thanks
Absolutely.
again for being here.
Thank you.
Want to
Thank you.
want to say thank you to all of you for being with us on Soulivity today. We're running out of time, but just want to say to you, listen, this is how we do it every day, Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. Eastern, for all of our Soulivity channels where we live stream. But you can also listen and watch us on KMET 1490 AM radio in Southern California, where we live stream there at 8 a.m. Pacific time. And again, you can be in your car, at home, or at work, and listen to us, for all of you guys out on the West Coast. So until next time, this is Brian Wesley Johnson on behalf of all of us, saying thanks again for being here. Keep on working on your passion and purpose so you can create your best life, a high quality life today. We'll see you next time.
This work is subject to copyright owned by Affinity Global LLC. Any reproduction or republication of all or part of this is expressly prohibited unless Affinity Global LLC has explicitly granted its prior written consent. All other rights reserved.